What's up, guys? So for the second week in a row, we're doing this thing off the stream, so we're not on Twitch today. Just posting this directly to YouTube after I record it. But another workshop. I think I'm gonna start kind of relabeling these, recalling them just workshops, just in case, I need to do these on the fly and maybe I'm not always on Twitch. Sometimes I just have to do it and upload it. And today's one of those days, so I got a lot of stuff going on later today. But I'm excited for today's topic once again. Today is May 6, 2025, and I'm going to be covering a little bit about my experience working with different lo-fi labels and collectives. If you're familiar with lo-fi music or chill hop music, you know that there's a lot of different brands and labels and collectives out there currently that are releasing music with producers, partnering with different producers and putting out their music. And this is something I really wasn't familiar with until the last couple of years. I don't really remember the direct moment where I discovered this was a thing. I think it was just kind of, being involved in the producer community, kind of just researching what other people were doing. And then I kind of just fell into it. And last year in 2024 was kind of the beginning of my pursuit to work with more collectives. And I think it was around this time last year, so probably April or May, I started sending tracks to different labels. Primarily the ones I got on last year were Beatmology, which I did an EP, which I've done 2 EPs now, but last year I did an EP called Road Less Traveled with them. They're based out of Brazil. Let's see who else. True School Records, which is more boom bap, traditional hip hop style, and Ghetto Street Records as well is also very similar boom bap style. And I ended up on, in total, I think 3 different compilations with a lot of other producers. So I got like a track on each of those compilations with those 2 collectives. I'm trying to think of who else. Leading into this year, I've worked with Brunch Collect, who is a very big one. Who's run by Corey Wade, incredible producer. So that was really a goal of mine, was to get on one of their albums, and I was able to have a track featured on Atlas, which dropped earlier this year. But overall, I kind of just want to need water. I always forget water and always need it when I'm doing these videos. Today, I just kind of want to cover, what my experience has been with working with these collectives. So it's not going to be super long. I'm not going over any articles today. The links I'm going to leave you guys are from 2 different collectives that I think are good examples of reputable people to work with, people you can send music to. But it's going to be Chill Moon, which I think Chill Moon is doing incredible work currently. They have a ton of compilations. They release EPs with producers, singles with producers. Their theming is incredible. I really love what they do. And I'll leave the link for Brunch Collect as well. Like I said, I've worked with them now. And I love their aesthetic. I love the type of producers that they work with and the sounds that they gravitate towards. And I definitely look forward to hopefully working with them again soon. So I'll leave those in the description of the video so you guys can check them out as examples. But there's hundreds of collectives at this point, and new ones keep popping up all the time. And for Proven Knowledge, my label brand podcast, we're kind of starting to transition into doing it ourselves with working with different producers and artists too. But right now we're doing a lot of producer stuff. So we have an EP called Summer Solstice that's already done. It's going to be coming out next month. And we're working on a few projects already for the second half of this year. So I'm excited, and it's a newfound journey for me. And it's something that, I've become inspired to do based on working with these other collectives myself. And just kind of take notes from what they've done and apply it to my mission with this brand. So I'm just going to go over some points here. I have 6 different points of, why as a producer, or how you can do this as a producer, but kind of the benefits to it as well, and the things that I've found that have helped me. So number one is submitting your music, which you can do via a submission form. Most of these labels have submission forms. They're either Google Forms. ToneDen is a big one that people use a lot. I made a ToneDen account in like 2018 for a lot of JTrade's early releases. So I remember using ToneDen for that. But now I use it a lot for pitching music to these labels. And usually what they'll do is they'll ask you for a few bits of information, such as your email, they might ask for your Spotify and Apple Music profiles, so they know, if they accept your music, they have to put it in with the distributor. They'll ask for your email. They might ask for a description of the song or album, whatever you're sending them for consideration. Just some details. Everybody's different, but in general, I'd say they mostly ask for the same things, and they'll direct you on what type of file to send over. Now, my experience with this is most of them will ask for a WAV format that is already mixed and mastered. So that's a big thing, is you want to make sure these songs are mixed and mastered, ready for release, because they don't want to mess with all that stuff in the back end. The way they do this stuff is more fast-paced, of like, everything kind of has to be ready in the back end. So, just read the qualifications or the, I don't know what you call that, the requirements for each submission. And like I said, I haven't experienced one yet that doesn't want it mixed and mastered. So you might find people that are willing to accept ones that aren't, but for the most part, they need to be release ready songs. So do that, make sure it's in WAV format, and including the title of the track correctly. Most of them will ask for it to be labeled with your artist name hyphen the song name. And you have to do that. You got to make sure that you're meeting all of their requirements, and just kind of be meticulous with that. Read the form thoroughly. And a lot of people, when they open submissions for compilations, they'll make Instagram posts or post on a Discord server about what are the requirements for submitting to this compilation. Actually read it through multiple times. Like, when I'm submitting music for these people, I want to make sure I cover all the bases, because it automatically will increase your chances of being, maybe not being accepted all the time, but being listened to. They're not going to check out your stuff if you clearly aren't reading the requirements. If you're sending a different file type, if you're not labeling your songs, you're not sending the right information they asked for, you're probably not even going to get listened to, like, straight up. So just be on your game with that. It's really not that much to ask for. It just requires you taking a little more time to actually read what they're asking you to do. But like I said, Google Form, ToneDen, some do SoundCloud private links. I don't really like doing those, because sometimes I upload stuff to SoundCloud and I forget about it, and then I have to go back in and clear old songs out and wipe them. I prefer doing that more, doing Google more, because I think it's just easier. But yeah, that's pretty much, what you look at for submitting the music. Next, I have aim to release singles, EPs, and get featured on compilations, which is kind of what I've already talked about. Those are really your options with a lot of these collectives and labels. And most of the compilations, like I said, they feature a lot of different producers. So it'll be one of your songs, and then maybe, let's say, 10 songs by other producers. Most of them are themed. So I've seen a lot of seasonal themed projects that people are doing. Like I mentioned, Chill Moon, they always do, spring theme, winter, fall, summer. Like, they try to do a lot of different themes every year to fit with those. Sometimes they'll do holidays such as Halloween, Christmas, Valentine's Day is a big one. So you send in music that is themed to that project specifically. And like I said, when they're asking, requirements, they will list, like, here's the type of style we're looking for this particular project. And they'll also, a lot of them will have playlists already made with similar tracks included, which definitely helps. They call it a reference playlist. And you can go to like Spotify, listen to that playlist, listen to the other songs that are in it, and then base your decision on what to send from that. So like, let's say it's a Valentine's Day compilation, they'll make a playlist of their past releases or just releases that they know that's the type of sound they want for this project. So that definitely helps a lot. So I would be looking at, do they have a reference playlist? If not, just kind of do your best to base the sound that they're describing off of what you have. And you can make songs from scratch, or you can take songs that you have in a hard drive somewhere. Because I've had that happen where I'm like, oh, I know for a fact I have a song, it's gonna fit this perfectly. I haven't used it for anything else. Let me send it over. And like I said, the getting your stuff accepted is always just a hit or miss. There's really no formula, I don't think, for being accepted every time. Even if you have a great song, there's a chance it's not going to get picked just because it just wasn't meant to be. But I think when you try to cover all the bases of sending the right songs, doing all the metadata, just do the little things, and you're gonna align yourself in a better position to be able to hopefully get in these projects. And as far as the EPs and singles go, most of these collectives are looking to partner with producers one-on-one to release projects. It's exactly what I've done with Beatmology over the past year, has been partner with them. I usually send them a concept and say, I have an EP idea in mind, here's the title, here are the songs, and here's kind of the story behind the concept. And then from there, they review it. And luckily, I've been able to do this 3 times now with them, because I'm about to release another one at the end of this month with them, another EP. So I think I'm just going to keep rolling with them doing a lot of EPs because I've had success. So if you can find a collective or label where you have the same amount of success, I would recommend sticking with them for as long as you can. Like I said, you might not have 100% acceptance rate, and they might have some critiques, they might have some suggestions for you, but overall, if you can find someone that resonates with your sound, it's going to be much more likely that you will be able to release with them. And again, I've tried to release with other labels, and they don't really like my sound, honestly, or they might not gravitate toward my sound enough to agree to release music with me. And that's just, it is what it is. You can't control those types of things. But if you can find at least one that really enjoys your sound and what you have to offer, I think you got to roll with them and keep going. So that's pretty much the gist of the options you have. The examples of collectives, like I said, I've been named a few that I've worked with: Ghetto Street, True School, Brunch Collect, Beatmology, Chill Moon. Obviously, I've tried to work with Chill Moon, and technically Ghetto Street is a subdivision of Chill Moon. It's like their hip hop side of Chill Moon. So technically I have worked with them, but I haven't done a Chill Moon release yet. That's a goal of mine, because like I said, they're one of the bigger ones. They're one of the ones that gets the most listeners and they get the most eyes on their material. And I just love their brand. I love the way that they present their music and the way that they theme things. I'm a big fan. So hopefully I can work with them soon. Like I said, there are hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of these labels currently out there, and more are popping up every day. I just got one. I got an invite to a Discord server about probably a month ago. A new one, I think it's called Yum Collective. I think that's what it's called, but they're inviting a lot of people over to their Discord and on their Instagram because they're trying to get this thing going. They're trying to do theme projects. They're trying to release with people and do a lot of different styles. So that's one I've seen pop up recently. But the more you search, like if you go to Discord, you start connecting with different people and finding different servers. I'm probably a part of like 15 different label servers on Discord now, and I don't even submit to a lot of these people. but I'm just there to see, like, is there an opportunity for me in whatever they're doing? And just kind of keep an eye on it, keep an eye on what resonates with you. And I would recommend, when you find some labels, go listen to their past releases, because a lot of them are themed differently. Some focus on lo-fi and just like traditional lo-fi, which is very calm, down tempo, melodic. Some focus on chill hop, which is a little more energetic, a little more vibrant. Others focus on boom bap and traditional hip hop styles, which obviously, you know, if you're old school, you love 90s hip hop, boom bap. That's who you want to be working with. So just base it on what style do you make, you know, and if you make multiple styles, it opens you up to be able to hopefully work with more of these labels. But I would just do that. I would check out, you know, their past catalog, go to their Spotify, check out their playlist, check out just what they've released in the past and the people that they've worked with. And that'll give you a better chance to say, hey, let me reach out to this person, because I feel like my sound also fits what they're doing. And some of them tend to evolve the sound as well. Maybe they'll go from focusing on chill hop to focusing on jazz hop, or just jazzy beats in general, whatever. Just do your research, kind of dig into it, and take your time with that, I would suggest too. Connect with labels via social media, such as Instagram and Discord, which I just mentioned. I think that those are the two best places for this sort of thing. That's where I've seen that they're most prevalent. YouTube is another good place, because a lot of these labels, collectives are doing different mixes on YouTube. They might be doing DJ sets or just mixes of beats that they have put out before. So you might be able to be a part of that. But I find that Discord is probably the number one thing that I would use, because it really is communities. You know, they build real communities with different producers and do collabs with other labels. That's where you can have access to playlisting opportunities for Spotify. You'll get notified about new compilations the moment that they happen, which is really cool. Which, again, you could see those things on Instagram, but the way Instagram's algorithm works, there's no guarantee you're going to be able to see that before anybody else does. So, you know, I'm not active on Discord a ton, but for this particular instance, I think it's super vital to be on Discord. Try and engage with some other people too over there if you can. I'm guilty of not engaging a ton. But like, maybe start conversations with some of these people that run these labels and just talk to them one-on-one, or maybe not even talk about music. I see a lot of different conversations over there, and it's not always just related to music stuff. I feel like if you can get on a genuine one-on-one basis with some of these people, it might improve your chances too of building a relationship with them, hopefully leading to you being able to work with them more. So just keep that in mind too. Allows the ability to reach new listeners via playlisting on Apple Music and Spotify. The cool part about the playlisting side is that some of these people, some of these labels, they'll playlist your material that you release with them automatically. So they'll pitch you to editorials on Spotify. They'll put you in their own playlists, like if they have official label release playlists, or like I said, those themed playlists, you could get put in those. And then you can obviously still submit playlists on your own at the same time. So it kind of doubles your firepower and doubles your chances of getting accepted into playlists, which I think is super cool. There's a lot of power in playlisting. I've been able to get in a lot of playlists over the last year just by working with these different people. Like I said, in the Discord, some of them, Chill Select is a great example of this. Every week they have a different Spotify playlist that they open up submissions for. And it's by usually just one of the random producers that's in the Discord, and they'll ask for a certain type of style, and you'll send them usually 2 tracks. It doesn't even have to be tracks that are released with that label. It can just be your solo album, your single, whatever you want to send them. So I've gotten a lot of my own material into those different playlists too, and got a lot of listeners just from that. And I guess to put things into perspective, I went from having around 20 to 30 monthly listeners for a while I was just doing things completely on my own, to over the last year or so, I'm averaging more around the 5,000 to 6,000 monthly listener range on Spotify, which wavers now more in the thousands than it did before. I mean, the highest I ever got before doing any of this stuff on my own was around probably 200 monthly listeners. That's about it. Now I'm in the thousands and hopefully going to keep going up from there. And I'm not a big numbers guy. I don't care that much about numbers, but I think it's important to see organic growth. And I've definitely seen organic growth through doing a lot of these partnerships. Like I said, through releasing with the labels, but also having a lot of my songs featured on the playlists that are getting a lot of, looks and attention. So I think that's something to keep in mind. And if you're a big person on the numbers, the Spotify stuff, which again, take it all with a grain of salt. But if you care about that, you want to see growth in that way, doing something like this as a producer is a big opportunity, a big way to see that happen, in my opinion. And finally, I put number 6, allows for collaboration opportunities with other producers. So there is, a great amount of collaboration that happens here. You can meet people in the Discord servers, on Instagram. You can work with people. I myself am already working with several people I've met through these communities. There's a producer named Cessflow who I love his sound, love his style. He followed me on Instagram, and I ended up reaching out to him and saying, I would love to work with you, big fan of what you're doing. But I discovered him through Brunch Collect, I think specifically Brunch Collect, because we were both featured on the Atlas compilation. So I went and listened to his music, and I was like, this is my type of stuff right here. Reached out to him, asked if he wanted to work together, and we actually have an EP now coming out in July called Nocturnal Fade, which I'm super excited about. So it's stuff like that. It's like I would have never probably met him if it wasn't for being involved in these different communities. And then from there, you have to take the initiative on your own. Like, who do I want to work with? You might have people come to you as well and say like, hey, I'm a big fan of your style. Maybe we should collab. Some of these collectives as well, they'll open up projects where they want specifically for you to collaborate. They want you to work with at least one other producer to make a track and then feature that on the project. So that's another opportunity. You could see let's say there's a fall themed compilation where you have to work with someone else. If you find someone that has a similar style, reach out to them. Say like, hey, do you want to team up on this? Like maybe I could do the drums and you could do the melody parts of the track, and then we just work back and forth, get it done by X amount of time, get it done before the deadline, and then send it in. And I always think that, the more you collaborate, the more opportunities it opens up regardless. And there's just twice the amount of power that you have and the ability to be heard by more people. And like I said about the playlisting thing, you got to think if it's you, another producer, and the label, that's 3 different powers that are submitting the playlists, pushing the song. Chances are it's going to be a lot bigger just because of that. You have more people vouching for it and telling people, hey, go check this out. So there's just a lot of different opportunities there that you can do. But that's pretty much it. I mean, that is my experience and what I think is the real benefits of being able to do this and work with different lo-fi collectives, beat collectives, instrumental collectives, whatever. I think the cool part about being a producer too is you can crank out more music in a quicker amount of time. So with all this music you have sitting around waiting, you can still work with artists, you can still do that sort of thing. You can release on your own, but this is just another thing to add in to say, hey, I could put out some of this music too, reach a new audience, work with more people. It's all good. You know what I mean? You get to have more of an income stream with the royalties coming in as well. You get more opportunities. It's a win-win, in my opinion, and I've seen nothing but good things. I have fun doing it. I have fun, submitting music for opportunities. And even if I don't get accepted, like I said, you just got to keep going and keep practicing and just get better at the process of being involved in this community. I think is a cool thing and a cool challenge that I've been able to embrace and see some success at so far. And I hope to keep seeing success as I move forward. But like I said, I'll leave the links to Chill Moon and Brunch Collect in the description of the video. Check those two out because I think those two are the best right now doing it. I think their theming, their sites, everything they do is awesome. So definitely give them a look and then start researching other ones. Check out Beatmology, like I said, check out True School. Just look at some of those ones, see what you can come up with. And if this is something you're interested in doing, definitely pursue it. I would recommend definitely looking into it and figuring out how you can get involved. But next week, we're gonna have another workshop. I have to start calling these workshops now. And we're gonna be talking about crafting summertime vibes for the summer season specifically, creating tracks that feel like summertime. So that could be as a singer, as a producer, whatever. So we're gonna be talking about sound selection. We're gonna be talking about just feeling like it reflects that type of vibe. So that's gonna be pretty cool. I don't really know what direction that's gonna lead in yet. I have to do my research for that, but I'm looking forward to it. And we're gonna be doing that on May 13th, next Tuesday. But thank you guys for tuning in. I hope this helps some of you producers out there looking to do this as well. And if you want to collab with me, reach out to me. Let me know in the comments. Send me an email, whatever. Get in touch with me somehow, social media, whatever. Like you feel like, hey, I want to work with this guy. Yeah, we'll see. Hopefully we can connect and collaborate. And if you've also had experience with lo-fi releases before, let me know, because I would love to know. But if you're new to this, hopefully this inspires you to get started. But like I said, we'll see you guys on May 13th. Stay safe, stay positive, and more importantly, have a great week. We'll see you next time.